For the next part of the video, we want to set some limits for our game so that when the bird hits the top or falls at the bottom, something happens. So we need to find what those limits are. So I'm going to add in a private set of variables, which are floating point numbers called upper limit and lower limit. And those are going to be the top of the screen and the bottom of the screen based on the camera. And we're going to calculate them at start. Again, remember, start only runs at the start of the game or the start of the object in this point. In this case, because it's the bird, it's the start of the game. I'm going to find the camera. Use the camera position and add to it what's called cam, and I'm not even going to attempt to say that word, but whatever that says is the size of the camera. Okay, and I have not done it correctly. Okay, I got it right this time. And lower limit, remember, use the drop down list because there's a capital S in there, which is why it didn't work for me, is the transform position Y. So remember, position Y is the middle of the screen. Up the way is positive, down the way is negative. That's why lower limit, which is the bottom, is negative here. Okay, quite a lot of code, but just to explain what that does. Okay, so cam orthographic size, they're attempting to say it, is the height of the camera view. Okay, so by adding that onto the Y position, we should get the top of the screen. Okay, subtracting it should give us the bottom, but we're also doing this part here. But just to explain what that is that is the actual height of the Flappy Bird. Okay, so because this script is attached to the actual bird itself, get component renderer is the renderer of the bird that we're attached to. You could write this as this if you want, if that makes more sense to you. But the reason we're doing that is so that we get the exact lower limit. Okay, because as soon as we touch the bottom of the screen, we want him to stop basically, and lose, die basically, because when he hits the ground he's dead in Flappy Birds. So get component renderer, bound size Y, sounds a lot, but that's basically the height of our object, divided by 2, because, and the reason why we divide by 2 is because the middle of the bird is the position, so we want to move the limit down a bit up a bit to bring it line up to take account of the fact that the bird is at the bird position in the middle. If you don't do that, the bird will go half out the bottom before it hits this limit. Okay, so this is the height of the camera. It's actually half of the height of the camera, which is why we don't need to divide that. So plus that takes us to the top, minus that takes us to the bottom. This is just so that we get the exact bottom limit. You could do the same up here and say minus, get a component to bring it down, but we're not going to bother with the upper. Okay. And then what we're going to say is, in here we're going to say if transform, which again I could say this, but transform position Y, which is the position of the bird, is greater than upper limit, or transform position Y is less than the lower limit. So if it is, basically if it hits either of the limits, what we are going to do then is say flap power is 0 to stop it flapping, and horizontal force goes to 0 as well. So we stop the bird. Okay, let's save that and try that. And what we should have now is, once it starts, okay, so we're okay, up, we hit the ground, we're dead. Right, let's try again. So let's hit the top. Right, you'll notice that we've got a wee bit of leeway, a little bit of leeway with the top because I didn't make it exactly top. I didn't do the extra half, so you could probably just get a tiny bit into the top. Well, it's working pretty well to be honest. Okay, so you've got to stay away from the top as well, pretty much. Okay, so hit the top, you die, hit the bottom, you die. Okay, and because then gravity takes effect, you fall out the screen. Okay, next bit we're going to do in this video is just add some sound. Okay, so let's give the bird a sound, and funnily enough, the sound the bird's going to have is a flapping sound. So I'm going to go to add component on the bird, go to audio and do audio source. I'm then going to go into sounds. I'm going to click back on the bird because it disappeared when I did that, and where it says audio clip none, I am going to add the flap sound to it. Okay, I'm going to take off playing away because I don't want it to play right away, but what I do want it to do is play it. So what I'm going to say up here is I'm going to add in private audio source. You can do it this way because there's only one audio source on it, and I'm going to say flap sound. Inside the start method, I'm going to say flap sound equals get component, and let's get the audio source from the bird. Okay, don't forget the bracket semicolon. And then all we simply have to do is when you flap, which is here, is say flap sound dot play. Okay, notice by the way that get key down is used here instead of get key. If you did get key, as soon as you hit space, it would flap a lot higher, because get key down means that you're pushing the key down, but it won't fire again until you let go and push again, whereas get key would count holding the spacebar down, and he would fly off the screen very quickly. So let's save that and see if the sound will play now. I'll make sure the sound's up on my computer. It is, so let's try this. And we're hitting play, and hopefully we will have flapping sound. Okay, do you hear that? So each time we've hit the spacebar or the mouse button, we get a flapping sound. Okay, let's save our scene at that point and save the project. The sound, by the way, I created. I'm just going to put the code up while we're doing that in case you're working away in the code. The sound, by the way, I created myself. I used my iPhone, I used memo recorder. I took a towel and I flapped the towel up and down and held the camera, held my phone near the towel while I was doing it and recorded the sound. And then I edited it in Audacity and added a bit of echo and things like that and upped the volume. But pretty much the sound you hear there is me standing with a towel flapping it at my iPhone. So there's simple ways of making sound effects, and that's one of them. I am going to save this. I'm going to go back into Unity, and I'm going to go File, Save Scene, File, Save Project.